Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining our live session today. Um, we'll just give it a few minutes until a few more viewers are here. Just give us 5 more minutes, please. Hello and welcome everyone. Sorry, we've had some technical issues this afternoon. Hope you can hear us very clearly. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. We're here for the fourth session of our live MicroStation sessions. In today's topic, we'll be covering how MicroStation can operate with various file formats and also manage to be interoperable with similar applications. So yeah, please do share your comments and questions should you have them in the chat box. We'll be doing our best to address them during the show or straight away afterwards. And stay tuned for also our next sessions. The recordings of these will be uploaded online also. So today it's going to be myself and my colleague Dirk who will be joining us. And for backup, we do have Dave here today. Thank you very much, both gentlemen, for joining. If I can just introduce myself as Mazlum. So I take the product sales side of MicroStation at Virtuosity, and my colleague Dirk is a senior consultant here at MicroStation and is a seasoned engineer. Thank you, gents, for joining.
You're welcome.
So in our live series, with this year, we've undertaken a live MicroStation series, and some of these topics that we've already covered are listed here, such as we covered some good topics of large data sets and how MicroStation can operate with these. We looked at how to utilize DGM to its maximum and make the most of it. Last week, we covered the point of this visualization and how MicroStation has excellent in-house capabilities of being able to provide, very high quality visualizations, and then we were able to export these as 3D PDFs also. This week, we're of course looking at interoperability and various file format exchanges in MicroStation. Coming up, we do have more sessions planned. We'll be looking at various topics such as ease of use, drawing extractions, accurate drawing, and design history, and geographic coordinate systems as well, to name but a few. As you can see on the top right of the screen, please do scan that with your phone. That'll take you to our website where you can instantly download a 14-day trial for MicroStation. You can have a taste of it yourself, have a play around, and of course, feel free to reach out to myself or my engineer colleagues here for any further guidance or tips on how to make the most of the software. So CAD interoperability and why is this an issue? So with various, with various programs and applications such as MicroStation, vendors such as Bentley Systems will provide their own ways of utilizing these applications. But when other vendors and other systems and other CAD applications are also naturally part of the project atmosphere, when you're exchanging these kind of files, there can be problems. So you can have broken geometry, loss of design intent. And of course, these are things where, in our industry, where millimeters can make a huge difference, these shouldn't be the case, or this risk should be minimized as much as possible. So there are different reasons why organizations also utilize different applications in-house. And this is, true for most designers. So there could have been a history of mergers and acquisitions. There can be a requirement for specific types of software, making that application the one to utilize at that point, or it can simply be a matter of cost or training staff, etc. We also have, of course, where owner-operators in various countries around the world, such as Network Rail in the UK or energy providers in the Scandinavian countries, where they've made it a prerequisite, essentially, to utilize a specific file format to adhere to their project guidelines. But even at that situation, when you're a designer in that supply chain, you cannot always adhere, or you have to do your best to, and there are certain ways of going about that. So one of the solutions that you can obviously address this situation with is MicroStation. So MicroStation's inherent capabilities are with the design file format, DGM, but of course, just a very short list here of, Dirk, if you can please provide your screen. There will be many other file formats within MicroStation that are easily interoperable. So we can exchange and import with these and do many other things, as my colleague Dirk is about to show you now. So if you just give me a second, we'll just transition the screen.
I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, great stuff, Dirk. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Matsu. Yeah, file formats. The previous webinar I talked about the design file format specifically, and the AutoCAD format and what it is and what it changes. But MicroStation can work with many more file formats, and working with or supporting file formats, that we can distinguish that into different steps. And I've got it over here from something else. But supporting, that can be that MicroStation can read a file, read only, attach it as a reference, or you can open the file and read write in it, or you can import a file so the data becomes MicroStation data, or you can export. And so a file supported, that can be different things. And I don't want to show you PowerPoint, but I want to show you MicroStation. So I'll show you a couple of things in MicroStation all about different file formats that MicroStation can handle, can support. When there are questions, then please interrupt me or put it in the. Do we have a chat window in this platform? Yeah. And so
we do,
then,
Dirk. Yeah, I'll make sure to fire them your way as soon as I see them.
Okay, good. So I will talk mainly about the things which are in here in the attach tab with the reference, raster, point clouds, reality mesh, and mainly about the first ones. This is all about attaching, and I will talk about importing and exporting. And that's what this is all about, because then we see all these different file formats. So we already talked about the previous session about save as, and where you can have these other cut files, and you can convert a file and you can save as. It will make the file and then it will open it. But you can also export a file. And so if you have a design file, and let's go to another model. So I switch over here to maybe this one. If I have this model with a map in it, I can use a file export and put it in another format. And because there are so many different formats MicroStation you can export to, it has been categorized into these four categories: in the common file types, into exchange file types, like the step format, the JT format, the CGM, the 3D modeling format, like the OBJ files, SketchUp files, and the visualization files, like these ones over here. So, of course, I'm not going to show you all of them. I just want to tell you a few things about it. Let's go to exchange file types, and maybe it's not the most suitable file type to work with, but that doesn't matter so much for now. I'll just pick one. I'll use this one, the JT file format. Usually you get a dialog box when you do an import or an export, because then you have to do some settings. And importing or exporting is changing the data format. It's like translating again. And in every translation, you can lose information. So in your workflow, you should always try to avoid making these kind of conversions. Always try to use the original format, especially if you don't need to make changes to it. And then you can just keep it, use it as a reference. Minimize the conversions, because you always lose information. You never gain information by converting. And so here there are some settings, and here there are some special options for this. This is a Siemens defined format, but you can give different options what to do with your data when you're exporting. So I just leave the default. It's asking me to which one. Well, I've already tried this before, so I will override this one, and it's doing it, and it's finished. And so now this JT file is created. You can also import it again. I did that in this one. This file is an import of the JT file. At least that's what my model name says. And I can see, for example, that I don't have any text. So apparently text is not supported in this JT file format. It's not intended for maps, it's intended for completely different things. So, but always to indicate, make sure you use the proper formats and choose the ones that where you don't lose much. Let's do another one, show you a little bit about another one. For example, that's this one. This is a file coming from Esri, and this is a shape file. And what I did is I imported it. You can also attach it as a reference, because if I go to attach file, then I can, on this screen, I can select my shape file, and then I can attach it. Actually, that's what I did for this model. I had an empty model. I attached the shapefile, and then I use my favorite command for references, and that is merge into master. And so your reference will be listed over here, and then you get the option to merge into master, this one. And then all the data is copied from the reference, from the shapefile, into the master file. And MicroStation is maintaining a lot of information, because in a shapefile, it's not only the graphical information that you have, it's also attribute information. This is a shapefile with all the built-up areas, all the cities and villages in the Netherlands. And let's just pick one over here. Then I can look at the properties, and I see that these attributes have been attached to the element as item types. So here are my items, and I can see the attributes that were in the shapefile, in the database file of the shapefile, and I can see the name of the city, of the place, and all these kind of attributes are all visible. And so that's typically also format. Now, talking about this shapefile format, you can attach it as a reference, you can open it, read only, you can merge it, but you cannot export. That's something that is not possible. If I look at file export, well, I can go through all of them, but I know that shapefile is not there. If you want to do something like that, you need Open Cities Map, the new name for Bentley Map. There, that is a little bit more GIS oriented, and there you have the possibility to also create a shapefile. So that's not possible over here. I go back to my home position, import, export. We talked about attach reference. Yeah, attaching references has so many options that I just want to show you. And so if I go over here to my attach reference, then and I look over here at the file types, you see over here all the file types that you can attach as a reference. And so it's not only the MicroStation and the AutoCAD design drawing files, but also 3D Studio files or object files, the JT file, the SketchUp files. Since update 15, also the iModel files can also be attached. Maybe some of them were possible before that, but now all the different types of iModels can be attached in MicroStation. That's one of the latest additions. For frequently formats are added and never a format is removed. Once it is there, we keep it. It's not because we have lazy programmers, but we keep the functionality. Once it is in there, we know that our users are using it, then we don't throw it away. So with attaching, you have many formats, and then merge into master is a possibility, or just leave it as read only. Now let's have a look at the raster files. There are many formats to attach, and let's first start over here with attach raster. Then we see over here which ones we can use, and you see the long list that is over here. It doesn't fit onto one screen, but any kind of raster format you can imagine, whether it's an old one or a newer one, like the JPEG 2000. Should I call that new? 2000, probably the year 2000. Anyway, many raster formats can be attached, and this of course is only as a reference. So it can be a picture, it can be anything. It can be an aerial photograph. Let's just I don't want to explain all the details, but let's just look at all the file formats. So I look at all files, and I've got a sewer inspection drawing over here. I'm gonna place it interactively. I open it, and now I can attach it with my settings, and I zoom in a little bit, and I put my picture over here, and here you see the sewer, and you see that our cat is inspecting the sewer. And so any kind of picture, it can be satellite image or a diagram or a document that has been scanned in, any kind of raster document you can attach as a reference.
The quick question here.
Yes.
So I've got a question from Nanette, and she's asking, what's the advantage of attaching, for example, a document as a reference file instead of importing the file directly? Would there be an advantage there to that?
Yes, there would be an advantage. If you attach something as a reference, you open the file read only. And so you're not locking, you're not allocating the file. So that means that your colleague, somebody else, can continue working on the file in read-write mode. Whereas when you open the file, you're the one who's locking the file, and the others can only see it. So when you only need to look at the file and you don't need to make any changes, then referencing is the best technique, especially then for the reference vector data. This one over here, raster data is in any case is always read only. MicroStation is not a raster editing tool. For that, you need to use Photoshop or Irfan View or whatever product there is. There's so many products, starting from free to very expensive, but there are many tools for processing raster data, and MicroStation is not processing it. The only thing you can do with MicroStation are conversions. I don't know exactly where the command is, so I look over here and I look for convert. So it's in drawing utilities image, that's where it is. But there's this dialog where you can do conversions on raster data. So that a conversion is not the same as manipulating raster data, but here you can change. If you add a file, then you can say over here, I want to change my input file. I want to change it to HMR file, or I want to change it to RLE, or whatever you want to use. And so maybe you have a file without any geographic coordinate system in it, then you could change it over here and go to a GeoTIFF or something like that. So many possibilities. It's still there. Raster convert goes very fast. And I think you can also do multiple files. You don't have to do one file. It can do multiple files. But again, try to avoid converting, because you don't gain any information. Only when needed, then you do conversions. Let's see, raster convert. Okay, so I think I talked enough about vector data and about raster data. There's so many possibilities. When you do have to do a conversion, try to do a direct one. So if you have to go from format A to format C, don't go to format B and then from B to C. Then try to go as direct as possible. Minimize the number of translations that you need to do. And when you don't need to change data, always use it in a reference. Now, there are more data types that MicroStation supports, and one of them is point clouds. And for that, I will close my raster manager.
Just on this
Yes.
point as well, got a very good question from
Okay.
a friend called Leon today. He's asked, what about city GML files? I'm not sure if GML files are compatible with MicroStation, but I think what the XML files, which are also geographic files that we can work with. Can you clarify that for us, please?
Yes. You have to go into OpenCitiesMap. That product is supporting the geo markup or the geographic. I don't know exactly what the G stands for. XML.
Yeah.
That's really supported in there. It is
I think
not
it's a
that
geography
complicated.
markup language.
Yeah. So for very simple things, we've created sometimes a tool that works in MicroStation that is reading a GML file, the graphic data from the GML file, and then displaying it into MicroStation. And so it's possible with a little bit of programming to do something, but it is not one of the supported formats in MicroStation. You know that there are always technical reasons, but there are also commercial marketing reasons. If we make everything that's possible in OpenCitiesMap also possible in MicroStation, MicroStation will be a little bit crowded, so to say, with too many things. And
It's a
then
specific product, isn't it?
it is a specific product
that
for
a specific need or industry requirement. I understand.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I don't think any of you want to use with a product that can do everything. Oh, now we've got a tool. Yeah, we only have one product at Bentley. It's called MicroStation, and you can do building design and road design and rail design and making maps. Now, it would be a very nasty program to work with. And so it's good that we specialize, and you have for every discipline, you have your own products. And so if you have geographic data, then probably you end up in OpenCitiesMap of one of the other products.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Leon, for that question. I hope that's answered your question. We've got another one, Dirk. I'm sorry for pushing them your way. So Michael has asked, can these raster data move back and forth for overlays?
Yes, if you look at the raster data, I think I've got some attachment views. Yeah, I got some aerial photographs attached over here. And if you go into the raster manager, first of all, you have the plane that it's working in. And so we have over here, these two are in the back plane. And over here, I can change that I want to raise it one level into the design plane. So then they're competing with your graphical elements, or you can put it in the foreground. Then they will be on top. And if you put it in the design plane, give an OK over here, you see it's also putting it in a different category over here, because this list is subdivided into background, design, and foreground. But even then, a thing like this, you can still work. I'm almost gonna lie. I thought it was possible to do priority also in this one, but then I have to check to see if that. I know for vector data that is possible. For raster data, there's no such a thing as priority. It would be in the list over here. So that's not possible. But you can do things over here with update sequence. So if I go to settings, update sequence, then you can do some things with resequencing things. And finally, and that doesn't work for all data types, you can make some data types, if they have a lot of empty space in it, you could make it transparent. And so then if the raster image is on top, you could still look through the white spaces, so to see. So yes, there are many possibilities for sequencing the raster data.
Great stuff. A question from Sukesh here. He's asking, is it possible to bring Google Earth images to MicroStation without converting the KML file?
No, it's going through the KML file.
Yeah, I thought
it's not directly possible. And there are limitations. From MicroStation 2, Google Earth is quite good. But the other way around is a little bit more complicated. You need to be in a 3D model, but then there's a function called drape Google Earth, synchronize, follow, capture Google Earth image. I think it's this one, and it's draping over your own model. I do have to tell that you need a specific version of Google Earth if you want to play around with Google Earth in combination with MicroStation. I think I'm not quite sure for the latest update. This is update 16, which was released last week. And I didn't try yet which Google Earth version is supported over here. I know that from the previous update, you needed a old 32-bit Google Earth version. Otherwise, it didn't really work. I'm not sure what the status is right now. And of course, keep asking our support team and make sure that they know what your wishes are about this. Because if we don't know, we don't do it. And so, if
Dirk, Samir, a colleague of ours, is also coming to support you. He says the priority tab is only available in 2D files.
okay, the draping of the that's only
display priorities, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's only in 2D. Okay, I thought it was in 3D as well. Okay, thanks, Samir. Yeah, then one other file format MicroStation also is supporting that are point clouds. I've got a section of a point cloud over here. It's a part of the city where I live. And this is data that has been collected from I think from an airplane, from some kind of a platform, sending down beams and receiving the reflections. And so for every point it's reflected, it's giving this over here. In this whole point cloud, there are more than 440 million. I think I had it over here. 440 million points. It's over here. Yeah, 440. So there's many points. To make it a little bit more handleable, I just clipped out a part of it. So the rest is still there, but it is not displayed. And that's what this box over here is doing. It's clipping the element. And so now I can look at this from the front, get a nice silhouette of that part of the city, skyline if you want. But you can measure inside the point cloud. You can snap to the points. You can do all kind of other things with it. But this is not a webinar on point cloud, so I don't want to go into details. But you can use different styles, for example, that you color the points relative to the elevation. So the elevation is changing, or you can do a classification. And then now you see that the green, the trees are a little bit slightly brighter than the rest. Anyway, lots of things you can do, but I don't want to show you point clouds. What you do have to know is that with point clouds, MicroStation is supporting only one file type. Well, it's using only one file type. And the file type that it's using is the POD file that's also used in our point tool product. If you attach a point file, so if I go to File, Attach, you can see over here that it is supporting in terms of it can read a lot of different point files. So depending on the platform, on the equipment that has been collecting the data, every manufacturer, of course, has his own format. That's how we cooperate in this world. And so we have for every manufacturer, there is a special format. But anyway, we can read all this. But internally, MicroStation will change it into POD file. And on the other side, once you have a POD file, you can always say, well, I want to save it back into another format. And then you can again convert it back to one of these formats. And so there are many formats are supported, but in this way, internally, only it's using POD. Then I want to move on to the last part of my presentation, and that is the...
Yep. Sorry, just before you do move on, I've got a very good question here from Rohini. She's asking if can we manipulate the point clouds in MicroStation?
Well, you can do the clipping, but you cannot manipulate. But I don't think it's something you want to manipulate. No, it is 441 million points, and you don't want to select a point and change the point. But clipping is something you can do, but that is a display thing. I probably can move or rotate or whatever I want to do. Let's try a move. Move element not valid for tool. So I cannot move it. Maybe copy.
I mean, I think you can always explode, but you're kind of defeating the point of
I don't think it's possible. I hope it is not possible, because then I would end up a design file with 441 million points. I don't want that.
Yeah, good luck working with that.
So, but the brief answer is no, you cannot manipulate the point cloud. You can do things with display, like I showed with the colors for the height and the classification, but you cannot manipulate a point cloud in MicroStation. And then you need probably other tools. Okay, then I go to the last one. That is the reality mesh. That's this one. This data has been collected probably by a drone, making a lot of photographs, and using context capture, a mesh was created. And a mesh is only triangular data, but over here also the graphical information, so the pixels from the photographs were included in here. And so then you get a reality mesh that you can rotate and you can zoom in. Of course, if you zoom in great details, you will see that some of the elements are a little bit distorted. You have to do it like this. But nevertheless, you get a good impression of what is all over there. Now in this picture, things look already rather desolate, and that can be true. I'll go back to my top view. This model, this mesh, is also correctly in the geographic coordinate system. So I'm using over here internally my X and Y coordinates, but many other systems use geographical coordinates. And because the coordinate system is set, I can communicate, I can translate with other systems that work with latitude and longitude. For example, Google Maps. And so I want to see a map, and so you give a data point over here at this point, and then on my other screen, of course, but it doesn't matter. I'll just shift it over. It is opening Google Maps. I have to zoom out a little bit to see where I am. It's not the same place as I expected. Anyway, it's pretty close. Here you see the railroads. Okay, and here we see some buildings, but I don't see the silos anymore. That's strange. I'm just sharing my experience I had recently when I prepared this. When I open this satellite, we see over here are these silos, but there's no shadow to it. Over here they have a shadow, but over here they have no shadow. Everything has been abandoned and broken down, and it's removed. And so we have a nice 3D model of something in the past, a plant design, which can very easily be captured, the image, and processed, and then you have the latest situation and you can see what's going on. And this one over here, you can really combine with your design file. And so you can snap to points, you can add elements, you can hide elements, you can do a lot of things with it. If you want to know all the details of the formats that are supported, you really have to look into the MicroStation help file. I've got it over here.
I'll also provide a link to this in our chat.
Okay, yeah, good. The nice thing about this help file is it's just docsbentley.com, and there you have all our manuals. So you even don't need to install MicroStation. Here you have some more information about GIS formats. This is the image formats, exchange data formats. It's all described over here. And so if you want to know details, don't expect details from this webinar. This is an overview to see that you can do more with MicroStation. And I think you should really invest into this, that getting data, and very often the data is for free. Like the shapefile I had, it's just for free. I can just download it from a government website. I don't have to pay for it. And getting data for free is a lot cheaper, of course, than collecting data yourself, sending out the land surveyor and measuring all the things. Of course, I know sometimes you have to do that, but if it's not necessary and you can get your data for free, MicroStation can help you with it. So that was my presentation. Are there any more questions?
Thank you very much, Dirk. Yeah, there are. I'll just review them now and ping them over on the screen. So Rohini has asked a good question. It's not directly related to our discussion here, I think, but I'm sure she can also. I'm sure you can take the time out to just assist. So Rohini has asked, what's the best practice for setting up coordinate systems on MicroStation? We've always used world coordinate systems, but is this how MicroStation is set up for best performance?
I think it's more project related. So I will talk about this much more in one of the next sessions about the geographical coordinates. So please be invited, and I will talk more about that in more detail. But to answer your question briefly, if you have data that is related to the world, it's best practice also to design it in the coordinate system that is used in that project in the country, because then the translations will go easier. An architect sometimes uses an X and Y coordinate system based on the street grid lines, but not related to any national or federal grid system. And that is very clumsy, because then you really don't know where the building is going to be. And so it's good to use the coordinate system that is used for the grid. MicroStation has the capabilities then. If you use a rectangular projected coordinate system with X and Y, because that's most of the time you use, then if needed, you can then translate to long lat, to geographical coordinate systems.
Great stuff, Dirk. Thanks a lot for your time. We'll come back to you as soon as there are further questions. Okay, we've got one just before we jump across. I'm keen to understand if we have solid working areas here in MicroStation, much like ACOSIM or Open Buildings Designer. So solid working areas, Dirk?
Yeah, I don't know what is meant with that solid working area.
Rohini, if you can please, delve into that a bit further, we'll do our best to answer that as soon as possible. So if we can just move on, don't want to take up too much of time from everyone's day. But do feel free to fire away with the questions as and when they come. So yeah, we'll just continue. Thank you, Dirk, again for that session. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I wish all of the people in the audience a lot of fun with MicroStation.
Thank you. Yeah, you can scan at the top right. There's a QR code, guys. If you can just scan that with your camera phone, that'll take you to our website where you can instantly download a 14-day MicroStation trial. Do go in there, try that manual that I posted in the comment section where there is a product guidance. Have a play around, and of course, if you do have any questions, do reach out to us, and we'll do our best to assist you. So if you'd like to progress, and if you'd like to do the best, procure one of these licenses for MicroStation, if I can progress to that level of our discussion now. So with Virtuosity, our Bentley company, you are able to directly procure one of these licenses very simply, essentially throw into your basket, and you're able to walk away with it almost instantly. These annual licenses, they're a development of our previous annual licenses, and they're really easy to purchase, and also they come with tailor-made training according to your personal requirements. So when you purchase one of these annual subscription licenses, you'll be given what we call keys, which are essentially tokens you can utilize towards training with us. And this can be a classroom training, of course, when post-COVID, of course, hopefully, consultancy, teams mentoring, standard training, and recorded online sessions as well. So there's an extensive support there that we provide to you. So again, please do go ahead, scan that code, do get trialing and utilize the software. So a few reasons here why MicroStation is, of course, a great application, and we cover some of these points through our webinars, and we'll also continue to do so. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. We had a 1 or 2 minute technical delay at the beginning. We apologize for that. Do feel free to reach out to us at any point. I've got my direct contact there as well. And virtuosity.com is, of course, easy to utilize to access to us. If you do have any questions for this webinar or this live session, please do continue with your comments and questions, and we'll be able to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you again for all joining us, and have a lovely day.
Okay, thank you and goodbye. See you on the next session.